Okay, so for the Dresden plate, ignore the mess of the creative genius that's going on here. Genius is used in a loose term, by the way. What I've decided is for the quilt design that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do a centre block with a Dresden plate. Now, Dresden plate is a circular design, so it doesn't have a right orientation or not, and it's made of something called blades. And the blades start off looking like this out of your fabric, just flat at the top like that. And you can get special Dresden blade rulers. I got this one free with the quilting magazine, and I've put a note on here that I need 20 blades in order to make my circle. And I've also extended it down here, look, as well, so I can get a bit of a smaller circle in the middle. I'll put up a picture of what a Dresden plate looks like for you when it's finished. Or I'll pop a picture of this one, actually, when I've finished it. And so what I've done is I have marked my pieces of fabric. There's a piece of fabric for you. Using the Dresden plate. And there's calculators online with... on Pinterest, which is a great resource. And what I've done is I've topped and tailed the ruler. So if I do this like this, you can see that there's 3 different blades there cut out of one not quite square piece of fabric there. If you try and do them all like this and just cut one orientation from your edge of your fabric, can you see all the wasted fabric that you've got here, here and here? And that makes it much bigger that you need to have for your Dresden. Whereas when you're cutting the same fabrics out, I mean, with 20, I've got 7 different fabrics I'm using, so there are needed 3 from 6 of them and then 1 from another. But by just alternating the Dresden, so this one's like that, then I've turned my template round like that, and then I've turned it round again like that to be able to use it. And to extend it, I've just extended the point down like this, and then I can then fold it up out of the way depending on what size I want to make, because I didn't want too big a circle and I've not got enough room for the back here. So mine are, let me just have a quick look with my ruler. My Dresden plates are 4 inches long, that's the length of them, my blades. And what you do is you fold them in half with the right sides together, and then we're going to put them through the machine, so like that. Okay, so I've got 2 here that I've already started. I've also sorted out the order that I want my blades to go in, so we've got those all together as a little pile of fabrics here. And then let me just pop these back on top there, because that's where I was working with them. Pop these away. It'll all make sense in the end. And what you do with the Dresden plate is you fold them in half, as I've just shown you, and then I'm going to chain piece them. So right sides together, fold it over so that the top of the blade, the widest point, touches each other. And then we just literally just sew one on from another with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I've just made that a bit wide, but you'll be able to see. So that one's 3/4 through, so then I take my next one, fold it in half on that top edge. And it's a block that looks really complicated, but it's really easy in actual fact. So I'm just going to carry on sewing through all of these with this on one, I call it a chain piecing, because as you can see they're all attached at the back here. I'm going to have like a load of bunting all along the back here, and they're all attached. Okay, let me carry on working with these, and then I will come back to you when I turn them round after I've sewn them all together. I'm going to split them up, and then we're going to then turn them and then sew them so that we can get them all together. Okay, back in a minute. Okay, so I've just finished sewing all of those. Let's take those off. And what I'm going to do now is go back to the start here. So I'm getting my first one. I'm leaving them all connected at the moment. Where's my... I'm not got any snips. You can use the little cutter on the side of your thing. So what we've got here is we've got this Dresden plate going on here. And what we need to do now is, if I take off those starting threads, because we won't need those, we're just going to snip across this corner. So that's not the open corner, that's the joined corner. So let's just take that off, not too close to your stitches. And then what we're going to do then is we're going to fold the seam allowance over, put a thumb inside, and then we're going to push that seam allowance through. So this is going to make us a pointed Dresden plate, and I'm just using a knitting needle just to pop that corner through. And what you can see is that on this side, when we fold this down, and this has got to be folded with that centre line there for the seam line pointing down, straight down to the bottom. That then when we turn it over gives us a point on our petal, a nice neat point on the petal. Okay, so that's the first one done. So let me get on to the second one now. Oh, got to remember which order I did this way, I think. So take off these. I'm trying to keep to a certain order, so that's why, I mean, obviously if you're a bit more random or they're all the same colour, then you can just go with it. So I am trying to keep mine in order. Just poke out that point with your knitting needle. And then what I'm going to do is then put, whilst I'm doing these two together, I'm going to lay them on top of each other so that the points are together and the bottoms are together. And then we sew down this edge. Now I'm not going to reverse when I start. I have got a shorter stitch length. I've got a 2 rather than a 2.5 on my stitch length. Make sure they're together. And then with the 1/4 inch seam allowance, making sure that's all together nicely. Then I'm going to stitch down. And because I'm keeping to a certain order, I'm going to do one at a time. Take off the starting and stopping threads. And here we can see, there we've got our first 2 petals put together. So let's get on to our next one then. I'm going to lay these on my knee so that I get this right. So I think it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So it's this way. Okay. Just losing myself slightly. So again, let's do this one. So fold it over, push out that point. Pushing out the points are really important. And then you can sew these just in pairs together if you wanted to. I'm just going to finger press these edges to make sure they line up nicely. And down at the bottom, that's it. And then you want a really nice edge just at the top here, just where those 2 fabrics meet and join together. And I have checked my 1/4 inch seam allowance before I started sewing these because it's really important on these. And there we go. So we can see how this is now starting to form this circular shape going round. And so I'm just going to carry on with the rest of these now and put these together, and I'll come back to you in a bit. Okay, so I finished sewing the Dresden plate. This is what it looks like when it's finished. It just needs to be pulled out. I've pressed it on the back. I've opened up all of the seam allowances all the way around, so they're all nice and neat and won't be too bulky. And then that will go onto the background fabric. I will do an echo stitch around here in a dark blue thread just so it outlines it, because you do lose it slightly, but I don't mind that. And then these other blocks will form around the outside here. This is my idea with a sashing block in between, so that this centre is all pulled together. So I've got some more blocks now to make in order to now sew the hearts onto the backgrounds. I'm sewing some on point as well, so that the hearts will go into the middle. It'll all make sense, I'm sure. This is going to be my backing and my sashing. Yeah, that's the plan. And just to say, on here I will applique a circle to hide that, so it makes it lovely and neat, and then I'll echo stitch around that as well when I've finished. I'm going to do the hand quilted by hand hand quilted at the end, so that will be a decorative stitch that will bring out that detail in the end and just make this Dresden plate just pop. I'm also going to write on each of these blades a letter that's going, this is my theory at the moment, that's going to spell gracias, which is thank you in Spanish, and then Maritere, which is her name. And just get the placing of that sorted out so that's all together. But that will then form the centrepiece, and the blocks will all go together with the points of the hearts all facing in towards the centre. This is my plan so far.